Brad Cooper, a wealthy billionaire, never trusted anyone in his wealthy life until the day he got married to his wife, Ashley, a beautiful woman he had fallen in love with and didn't think twice to bend his rules for her, made him feel he could trust someone again. But on that very day, Brad was about to learn a painful truth that would tear his heart apart and expose the woman he had stepped out of his line to trust. What he found in that cup would end the marriage he once believed was unbreakable. The morning started quietly inside the Cooper mansion, a place filled with shiny floors, soft carpets, and expensive art that looked back at you from every wall. It was the kind of house people only saw in magazines, the kind of house people dreamed of, but Brad never cared much about the rooms or the money or the noise that came with wealth. He only cared about peace. And for a long time, he believed Ashley had brought that peace into his life. The sun had just started to enter their bedroom through the wide glass windows, touching the white curtains slowly like it was scared to wake anyone up. Brad lay on the edge of the bed, tired from another long night of headaches and weakness he could not explain. For weeks he had felt strange, lightheaded at times, confused at times, and unable to sleep well. Ashley always told him it was stress, that he worked too hard, that he needed to trust her more, and Brad believed her because he wanted to, because he loved her, because she was the one person he allowed himself to trust. Downstairs, Juliet held a basket of clean towels close to her chest as she walked up the staircase carefully. She was the quiet maid who had worked for the Coopers for more than 2 years, a woman who moved gently, spoke softly, and always kept her head down even when she noticed things she did not understand. Juliet had grown up believing that silence was safer than speaking, but that morning something inside her felt different. Something was making her uneasy, like a heavy stone sitting inside her stomach. Juliet had seen Ashley earlier, mixing Brad's morning drink in the kitchen. Ashley always prepared it herself, saying Brad loved the taste when she made it, saying it helped him relax before work. Juliet had never questioned it, but today she paused for a moment and watched. Ashley stood with her back turned, her hand moving quickly inside a drawer, her shoulders stiff, her breath unsteady. When Ashley noticed Juliet, she closed the drawer at once and gave Juliet a smile that did not reach her eyes. A strange smell had come from the cup, a smell Juliet could not explain, and she felt something in her chest tighten. As Juliet reached the top of the stairs, she heard faint voices coming from the bedroom. Brad's voice sounded tired, like the strength had been drained out of him. Ashley's voice was calm, almost too calm, like she was trying to hide something under it. Juliet stood by the door for a moment, wondering if she should knock or walk away, but the uneasy feeling inside her would not leave her alone. Inside the room, Brad sat on the bed with his head down, rubbing his forehead with his fingers. Ashley stood beside him with the cup in her hand, smiling gently as she moved closer to him. "Drink this, baby," she said softly. "It will make you feel better." Brad looked up at her with tired eyes, eyes that trusted her without question. Ashley had been the only person who made him believe he could open his heart again after years of loneliness, and he held on to that feeling like a man holding on to the last bit of hope he had left. Juliet took a small step into the room, her heart beating fast. She did not know what she was supposed to say or do, but the uneasiness inside her was growing like a fire that refused to go out. She looked at the cup in Ashley's hand, remembering the strange smell, remembering the drawer Ashley had closed quickly, and for the first time in her life, Juliet felt fear in a way she had never felt before. Ashley lifted the cup and placed it in Brad's hand. Brad smiled at her slowly, trying to trust her the way he always had, trying to push away the dizziness in his head. Juliet watched the cup rise toward his lips, and something inside her screamed louder than her voice could ever be. She stepped forward with shaking hands, her eyes wide, her breath quick, and without thinking, without planning, she shouted with everything inside her, "Sir, please wait." Brad stopped moving. The cup froze halfway to his mouth. Ashley turned her head sharply, her face tightening for a second before she relaxed it again. Juliet stood there trembling, afraid of what she had just done. She had never raised her voice in that house, never interrupted a moment like this, never spoken out of turn. But the fear inside her was stronger than her silence. Ashley took a slow step forward, her eyes fixed on Juliet. "What is it?" she asked in a calm voice, a voice that sounded gentle but felt sharp like a trap waiting to close. Juliet swallowed hard, her palms sweating. She looked at the cup again, then at Brad, then at Ashley, and she felt her chest tighten with panic. "I think something is wrong," Juliet whispered. "I think something is wrong with the drink." Brad blinked slowly, confused. Ashley let out a small laugh that did not sound real at all. "Juliet," Ashley said, "you must be tired. There is nothing wrong with it." But Juliet shook her head slowly. "I saw something earlier," she said, her voice shaking. "I saw something in the kitchen." Ashley's smile disappeared for a moment, then came back quickly, but Brad noticed the change. It was small, almost nothing, but it made something inside him shift. "What did you see?" Brad asked, his voice weak but curious. Juliet looked at him with pain in her eyes, because she did not want to disrespect the woman who gave her a job, but she could not ignore the fear in her heart. "I saw her," Juliet whispered. "I saw her mixing something that did not look right." Ashley's whole body went still. Her fingers curled slowly around the edge of the bed. Her eyes hardened for a second, then softened again. "Brad, please," Ashley said gently. "You know Juliet is nervous. You know she cares too much. There is nothing wrong with your drink." Brad looked at the cup in his hand. For the first time since he married Ashley, he felt a small crack inside his trust. It was tiny, almost impossible to notice, but it was there, and he could not ignore it. Juliet stood there, praying he would listen, praying she had not made a mistake, praying she had not ruined her place in the house. Her heart was beating like it wanted to break out of her chest, and tears gathered in her eyes. Brad lowered the cup slowly, his hands shaking. "Ashley," he said quietly, "why does Juliet look like she is scared for my life?" Ashley opened her mouth to answer, but the look in Juliet's eyes stopped her. For the first time, Brad saw something in Juliet that shook him, a fear too real to be fake. Juliet took a deep breath. "Sir," she said, "please do not drink it." Brad looked at the cup again, and the room felt smaller, quieter, heavier. He did not know why Juliet was shaking. He did not know why Ashley's smile looked forced. He did not know why his chest was tightening, but something inside him whispered for the first time in a long time that he might not know his own wife as well as he believed. That single thought sat inside him like a shadow, and nothing felt the same after that. The room stayed quiet after Juliet's trembling voice filled it. Brad looked from his wife to the maid, unsure of what he was supposed to feel. His head felt heavy, his thoughts were slow, and for a moment he wondered if maybe Ashley was right. Maybe Juliet was overreacting. Maybe he was imagining the fear on her face because he had been tired for weeks. But the look in Juliet's eyes did not look like confusion or panic. It looked like someone begging him to stay alive. Ashley stepped closer to him, with the same soft smile she always used when she wanted to calm him. "Brad," she whispered, placing her hand gently on his shoulder. "You know I would never hurt you. You know this." Brad closed his eyes for a moment. He trusted Ashley. He had trusted her more than anyone in his entire life. She was the only person he ever opened his heart to, the only person he let past his walls. But something inside him refused to settle. Something inside him whispered that Juliet's voice held a truth he needed to hear. Juliet stood frozen a few steps away, her fingers digging into the towel she was holding. She knew she had crossed a line by interrupting. She knew Ashley was already angry with her, and she knew she might lose her job by the end of the day, but none of that mattered to her anymore. What she saw in the kitchen, the look on Ashley's face, the fast movement of her hands, the strange smell, all of it pushed her to speak even when her heart was shaking inside her chest. Brad slowly placed the cup on the bedside table. His fingers trembled slightly as he released it. "Ashley," he said quietly, "what was in the cup?" Ashley blinked. "What do you mean?" she asked, still trying to smile. "I mean," Brad repeated calmly, "what exactly is inside the drink?" Ashley laughed lightly, the kind of laugh someone gives when they are offended. "It is the same calming tea I make for you, Brad. You drink it every morning. You love it." Juliet felt a chill move through her body. She remembered the powder Ashley had hidden in her palm earlier, the way Ashley had turned her back quickly when Juliet entered the kitchen, the sharp look she gave her. Nothing about this felt normal. Brad rubbed his forehead again. His head felt foggy. His chest felt tight. He felt weaker than he used to feel, like something was slowly draining him every day. He looked at Juliet, her eyes begging him silently to look deeper. "Juliet," Brad said, "tell me exactly what you saw." Ashley's smile dropped suddenly. "Brad," she warned, "I hope you are not taking this girl's words over mine." Juliet swallowed hard. "I saw her mixing something," she said quietly. "Something I have never seen before." She added it fast. Then she hid the bottle inside a drawer, and the smell coming from the tea did not smell normal. Ashley took a sharp step forward. "You are lying," she snapped. "Why would you say something like that? What do you want from this house? What are you trying to do?" Juliet lowered her head. "I am not lying, ma'am," she said softly. "I would not lie about something like this." Brad stared at his wife, really staring, not with love or comfort, but with a quiet confusion he never allowed himself to feel before. "Ashley," he said again, "open the drawer and show me what you used." Ashley stiffened. It was small, but Brad saw it. Juliet saw it too. Ashley's fingers curled into her palms. Her eyes moved for a second toward the drawer, then back to Brad. "There is nothing in the drawer," Ashley said through a tight smile. "Why do you not trust me?" "Because something feels wrong," Brad thought silently. "Because Juliet has nothing to gain by saying this. Because my head has not been clear for weeks. Because I have ignored too many signs." But he did not say those words out loud. "I want to see the drawer," Brad insisted. Ashley stepped in front of the drawer like she was guarding it. "Brad, stop this," she whispered. "You are hurting me right now. You are choosing a maid over your wife." Juliet flinched at the way Ashley said the word maid, like it was dirt. Brad stood up slowly from the bed, his legs unsteady, his body weak, but his mind beginning to clear in a different way. "Ashley," he said, "move." Ashley shook her head. "No." That one word settled everything. Juliet watched the moment the truth began to crack open in Brad's eyes. He moved past Ashley, opened the drawer himself, and froze. Juliet saw his shoulders fall, saw his breath catch, and saw the moment his trust broke without making a sound. Inside the drawer, wrapped inside a small white cloth, was a tiny bottle with crushed powder still stuck around the cap. Ashley rushed forward. "Brad, let me explain," she cried, her voice shaking for the first time. Brad held the bottle in his hand with trembling fingers. He looked at Juliet, then at Ashley, then at the cup. "What is this?" he asked quietly, too quietly. Ashley looked around the room like she was searching for a lie that made sense. "It is nothing harmful," she said quickly. "It is just to calm you down. I wanted you to rest more. You work too hard. I was trying to help you." Juliet closed her eyes. She had seen people lie before, but this lie was cold, clear, and born from panic. Brad stepped back slowly. He felt his chest grow heavy. His breaths came out uneven. His hand shook harder as he held the bottle. "Why did you hide it?" he asked. "Why did you not tell me?" Ashley reached for him, but Brad pulled away. "I did it for us," she whispered. "I did it because I love you." Juliet watched tears fill Brad's eyes. Not the loud kind of tears, but the quiet ones that come from betrayal, the kind that come from trust being ripped apart. "Ashley," Brad whispered, "I have been sick for weeks. Weak. Confused. I could not even hold a simple meeting last week. Was it this? Did you do this?" Ashley shook her head fast. "Brad, please stop. You are listening to her lies." Brad turned to Juliet. "Juliet," he said softly, "go downstairs and wait for me." Juliet hesitated. She did not want to leave him alone in this moment, but she also knew she had already stepped far beyond her place. "Yes, sir," she whispered as she backed away. When Juliet reached the hallway, she leaned against the wall and held her chest. She heard muffled voices inside the room, rising and falling. Ashley crying, Brad asking more questions, the pain in his voice deeper than anything she had ever heard from him. Juliet stood there trembling because she knew something heavy was happening behind that door, something that would change everything inside the mansion. After a moment, the door opened slowly. Brad stepped out, looking like a man who had lost something he never thought he would lose. He did not look angry. He looked broken. He walked past Juliet without saying a word, but the look in his eyes told her everything. He had seen enough to know that his life was about to fall apart. And Juliet, the quiet maid who never raised her voice, had been the one to start the truth he could no longer ignore. Juliet watched Brad walk down the long hallway, his steps slow, his shoulders heavy, his face pale like someone who had just learned that the world he trusted was built on sand. She did not know what he would do next. She did not know if he believed her fully. She did not know if Ashley had convinced him of anything. All she knew was that something painful had opened inside him, something that could not be closed again. Juliet stood still for a moment, then walked downstairs as Brad had instructed. The mansion felt too quiet, almost uncomfortable, like every wall had heard the argument upstairs and was now holding its breath. She walked into the living room and placed the towels gently on the couch, but her hands were shaking. She tried to sit, but her chest felt too tight. So she stood near the window and looked outside, even though she could not focus on anything. Her heart kept whispering the same thing. "Sir, please believe me. Please do not drink anything from her again." She did not want to destroy anyone's home. She did not want to come between a husband and wife. But she knew what she saw, and she knew that cup had something wrong inside it. She had seen fear before in her life. The real kind, the kind that tells you something terrible is about to happen. She had seen it on Ashley's face when Brad found the bottle. And fear like that did not come from innocence, it came from guilt. Upstairs, Ashley paced back and forth inside the bedroom, her breath sharp, her hands shaking harder than she wanted them to. She could not believe Juliet had said something. She had trusted that girl to keep quiet, to mind her business, to stay in her place. Juliet had always been silent, always gentle, always respectful. Yet today she opened her mouth, and everything fell apart in seconds. Ashley grabbed her phone and dialed someone fast. "Answer," she whispered, biting her lip as she waited. When the call connected, she lowered her voice. "Something happened," she said. "He found it. He knows something is wrong." The voice on the other side talked fast, but Ashley's face tightened more. "I know," she said quietly. "I know what I did. I know why I did it. But now he is asking questions." She paused, listening, then nodded slowly. "I will handle it. I will fix it. No one will know." She ended the call quickly when she heard footsteps outside the door. Brad entered the room again, his eyes darkened by pain, his body weak from days of drinking, something he never should have touched. "Ashley," he said softly. "Sit down." Ashley forced a smile. "Brad, please do not make this bigger than it is. I did nothing wrong." Brad sat in front of her, his voice quiet but firm. "If I have been drinking whatever this is for weeks," he said, holding the small bottle in his hand. "Why did you hide it? Why did you not tell me? Why did you lie to me?" When Juliet spoke, Ashley leaned forward, her eyes filling with tears that she pushed out quickly. "Brad," she whispered, "you have been so stressed. I saw you falling apart. You were losing weight. You were not sleeping. You were forgetting things. I wanted to help you relax, because you never listen. I did it because I love you." Brad closed his eyes. "Ashley," he said, "love does not hide things. Love does not lie. Love does not sneak around with bottles and drawers." Ashley looked away. "You are choosing a maid over your wife," she snapped suddenly, her tears drying fast. "You are taking her words over mine. Do you hear yourself? Do you hear what you are doing to me?" Brad stared at her. "Juliet had nothing to gain by stopping me," he said. "She risked everything." Ashley's jaw tightened. "And you believe her? A maid, someone who barely knows anything, someone who could be jealous, someone who could be trying to destroy us." Deep inside Ashley's words, Brad heard something he never noticed before. A sharpness, a bitterness, a tone she never used when they first met. He remembered the Ashley he married, the woman who laughed softly, who listened, who brought peace. He did not recognize this Ashley standing in front of him. "Look at me," Brad said quietly. "Look at me and tell me the truth. What have I been drinking?" Ashley's eyes moved away again. That small movement was all Brad needed. He felt a pain he could not explain. The kind that does not shout. The kind that sits in your chest and grows slowly until it makes it hard to breathe. "You could have killed me," Brad whispered. Ashley gasped. "Brad, how can you say that? I was helping you." Brad shook his head. He stood up. "I need to send this for testing," he said. Ashley's eyes widened. "Testing," she repeated. "Brad, please, you do not need to do that. It is harmless." Brad did not respond. He walked to the door. Ashley rushed to him and grabbed his arm. "If you do this," she said with a trembling voice, "you will destroy everything we have." Brad removed her hand gently. "Ashley," he said, "something already destroyed it." Ashley stood there frozen as Brad left the room. Downstairs, Juliet looked up when she heard his footsteps. Brad walked down slowly, his face empty of emotion. Juliet felt her heart fall. She stood straight, scared of what he might say. "Juliet," Brad said softly, "tell me more about what you saw this morning." Juliet breathed in slowly. "Sir," she whispered, "I did not mean to cause trouble. I swear it. I only spoke because I was scared for you. I saw her pouring something into your drink. It was white and powdery. I saw her hide the bottle quickly. And the smell, sir, it was strange. Not like the normal tea she makes." Brad nodded slowly. "Did she see you watching her?" Juliet lowered her eyes. "Yes, sir." Brad sat down on the couch and held his head with both hands. He looked tired, and the room felt heavy with the weight of the truth that was slowly showing itself. "I have been feeling weak," he said, "confused, tired. I have been losing my concentration. My body has not felt normal." Juliet swallowed. "Sir," she said softly, "I think it is because of the drink." Brad nodded again. He was no longer confused. He was no longer unsure. He knew something was wrong. He knew Juliet was not lying. He knew he could not ignore this anymore. "I will take this cup to my private doctor," Brad said. "I want to know exactly what she made me drink." Juliet felt a cold fear pass through her. "Sir, will she know?" she whispered. Brad looked at the stairs that led to Ashley. "Yes," he said quietly, "she will know." The mansion stayed silent for the next hour as Brad changed his clothes, picked up the cup with the leftover tea, wrapped it carefully, and prepared to leave. Before he stepped out of the door, he looked back at Juliet. His eyes were soft, tired, and deeply hurt. "Juliet," he said, "thank you for speaking." Juliet felt her heart ache for him. "Yes, sir," she whispered. Brad left the house with the truth in his hands, the cup in a small sealed bag, and a pain inside him that felt like it had no end. Upstairs, behind the curtains, Ashley watched him drive away. She clenched her jaw and whispered to herself in a shaking voice, "He cannot find out. He must not find out." She grabbed her phone again, her fingers trembling. Something darker was coming. And Juliet, still standing quietly in the living room, had no idea that the truth Brad was searching for would break the whole house open in ways no one expected. Asterisk, asterisk, chapter 4. Asterisk, asterisk. Brad drove in silence, his hands gripping the steering wheel tighter than he knew. The city moved around him like a blur. Cars passing, people walking, life continuing as if his own world was not falling apart. He felt his chest tighten again, not from the weakness he had felt for weeks, but from the heavy truth he feared he was about to confirm. The small sealed cup sat on the seat beside him, quiet, innocent-looking, holding the answers he never wanted to face. Juliet stayed in the mansion, her hands folded tightly in her lap as she sat near the dining table. She wanted to move, she wanted to work, she wanted to pretend things were normal, but her body refused. Her mind kept replaying Brad's face when he discovered the bottle. The disappointment, the confusion, the quiet heartbreak. Juliet prayed silently that the truth would not destroy him completely. She prayed he would have the strength to face whatever his doctor found. Upstairs, Ashley paced like a trapped animal. She kept looking out the window, waiting for Brad to return. Every minute that passed made her breathing faster. She felt the walls closing in on her as she imagined Brad's doctor testing the drink, finding something he was never supposed to know about. She had done everything to keep control, to keep her marriage steady, to keep Brad close and dependent on her. Now one mistake, one moment of Juliet walking into the kitchen, had cost her everything. Brad arrived at his private doctor's clinic, walking in slowly, trying not to look as weak as he felt. Dr. Henry Parker, a man he trusted for many years, looked up in surprise when he saw him. "Brad," the doctor said, "you look terrible. What is wrong?" Brad placed the sealed cup on the table. His voice came out low and tired. "I need you to test this," he said. "I need you to tell me what is inside." Dr. Parker looked at the cup, then back at Brad. "Is this something your wife prepared?" Brad nodded without speaking. The doctor frowned, opened a small kit, and handled the sample carefully. As he worked, Brad sat on the chair, staring at the floor, feeling the weight of every second pressing down on him. His chest hurt. His mind hurt more. After several minutes of silence, Dr. Parker called Brad closer. There was no smile on his face, no confusion, no doubt. Only concern. "Brad," the doctor said quietly, "this drink contains a slow, calming sedative, much stronger than anything you should be taking daily. It is also mixed with another substance that weakens the body if taken repeatedly." Brad felt something inside him break. Not loudly, not suddenly, but slowly, like a string being pulled apart one thin thread at a time. The doctor continued, "Taken over time, this mixture could cause confusion, tiredness, loss of strength, and long-term damage. Brad, whoever gave you this, did not want you to think clearly." Brad closed his eyes, and a long silence filled the room. He did not cry. He did not shout. He did not ask questions. He simply breathed, slow and heavy, as if his heart was learning how to move again after being shocked. Dr. Parker placed a hand on his shoulder. "I will prepare a report for you. You need to stop drinking anything she gives you." Brad nodded slowly. "I know," he whispered. He left the clinic with the report in his hand, but his heart felt heavier than the papers. The truth was no longer a question. The truth was real. Ashley had done this. The woman he loved, the woman he trusted, the woman he bent his rules for, the woman he believed was the safest place in his life. And Juliet, the quiet maid he overlooked every day, had been the one to save him. When Brad returned home, The mansion felt colder. Juliet stood up the moment she heard the door open. She saw the paper in his hand, and her heart sank, because she already knew what it meant. He walked toward her slowly. "Juliet," he said, "thank you." Her eyes softened. "Sir," she whispered, "are you all right?" Brad looked away, trying to hold himself together. "I will be," he said quietly. "You were right." Juliet lowered her head, tears filling her eyes, because she never wanted her warning to be true. She only wanted Brad safe. Ashley came rushing down the stairs when she heard him. "Brad," she said with shaking breath, "thank God you are back. We need to talk. Please listen to me. Brad turned toward her with a calmness that was scarier than anger. He held up the paper. "It was tested," he said quietly. Ashley's face went pale. Brad stepped closer. "You have been giving me a sedative," he said. "A strong one, mixed with something that weakens the body. You lied to me." Ashley shook her head fast. "Brad, please. No, it is not what you think. I was helping you. You were stressed. You were—" Brad raised a hand gently, and she froze. "No more lies," he said. Juliet watched the scene from a distance, her heart shaking for him, for the truth, for the pain that filled the home. Ashley's breath broke. "Brad, I did it for us," she cried. "I needed you calm. I needed you to slow down. You never listen. You never rest. I did not want you to leave me. I could not handle losing you." Brad's eyes filled with tears he fought to control. "You did not keep me," he whispered. "You trapped me." Ashley stepped forward, reaching for him, but Brad stepped back. "Stay there," he said quietly. Ashley dropped her hands, her face collapsing. "Brad, please, we can fix this." Brad shook his head. "You could have killed me," he whispered. Ashley cried harder. "I never meant to hurt you." Juliet covered her mouth, tears falling down her face. Brad turned away from Ashley, his voice flat in a way Juliet had never heard before. "I am filing for divorce," he said. Ashley froze like a statue, her breath gone. "Brad," she whispered. "No, please, no." Brad walked past her slowly. "You ended this," he said. "Not me." Ashley fell to her knees on the stairs, crying so loudly that it echoed across the mansion. But Brad did not look back. He walked toward Juliet instead, his eyes softer, broken, but grateful. "Juliet," he said, "you saved my life. I will never forget that." Juliet wiped her tears and nodded. "Sir," she whispered, "I only did what anyone would do." Brad shook his head gently. "No," he said. "Most people would have stayed silent." Juliet lowered her eyes. "I could not watch you get hurt." Brad took a deep breath, steadying himself. "I will make sure you are safe here," he said. "And if you ever need anything, you come to me." Juliet nodded again, her heart full of emotion. Brad walked to his office, closing the door behind him, his tears finally falling where no one could see him. Ashley stayed on the stairs, crying into her hands, knowing her life had changed forever, and Juliet stood quietly in the hallway, holding on to the truth that had saved her boss, a truth that had ended a marriage built on lies. The mansion remained silent that night, the kind of silence that holds both pain and freedom, the kind that comes only after the truth has finally been spoken. The truth inside that cup had broken a home, but it had saved a life, and nothing would ever be the same again. Dear viewers, this story reminds us that trust is a delicate thing, and sometimes the people we open our hearts to can be the very ones who break it. Brad Cooper thought love meant closing his eyes and believing without question, but life showed him that real love cannot grow where there is lies and hidden intentions. And Juliet, a simple maid with a pure heart, proved that courage does not come from position or wealth. It comes from doing what is right, even when your voice shakes. As you watch this, from wherever you are in the world, tell us in the comments where you are watching from, and tell us what this story taught you. Did it remind you to listen to the quiet people around you? Or to trust your heart when something feels wrong? Or to value honesty more than anything else in a relationship? Please like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who needs it. And if you want more emotional stories like this, type more stories in the comments, and you will be the first to get our next touching and powerful story. Before you go, answer these 3 questions for us in the comment section. 1. Do you think Brad made the right decision by ending the marriage? 2. If you were Juliet, would you have spoken up or stayed silent? 3. What part of this story touched your heart the most?